So, hello everyone. Warm welcome to all the road tractors, presidents, and dignitaries over here. This is Road Tractor Rupekha Ghosh, the Director of International Service from Rotary Club of Pakistan. Before starting with the webinar, I would request everyone to stand up for the national anthem. And I would request the technical team to present the national anthem, please. Thank you.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you so much for presenting the national anthem. Now, I would like to introduce a speaker of the day, Victoria Zagitova, who is a proud Instagram influencer and activist. She has over a decade years of experience with social media and social web. She knows how to deal with it perfectly. Her talented and hardworking persona has helped Victoria to collaborate with UNESCO, the Parliament of Russia, moreover, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia, the media outlets. Among discussing and praising all her deeds and feats, let me surprise you even more, as because that's not all. She has also completed Master of Global Studies and Communication Policies at the University of Padova with Boston University and Sciences Po Paris. And we are really proud to have this amazing lady virtually with us today. Now, I would like to give the virtual mic to her for saying a few words. You can go ahead, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry again for being a bit late. European timing and like other timing, it can be a bit confusing. So thank you very much for my introduction. I think that was very broad, like you can understand what I'm doing. So basically, I would also like give my little introduction, understanding why I want to exactly speak with you about career strategy today. For like last 6-7 years, I have done like a very big academic formation in international relations. And for that period of time, I was changing my ideas on what to do in my life, to be a diplomat or to be a political journalist or to be a broadcaster or to be just international relations worker and just as an official. It was also very, very hard to understand what to do exactly. And for like the last year, I have started to be more like active on social media with my own personal brand, in which I have found myself pretty good. But this period was very, very long. I started very, very young, and from that time, I have changed a lot of different things I was doing. And that great period has made me understand that it's very, very important from the beginning to understand what you want to do, and not just to understand that, because you can definitely change ideas very, very, like very, very much throughout your life, because you're going to change your ideas, you're going to be inspired by different things. But to be very strategic with what you're doing and to set the goal and understand what kind of path you can have in order to achieve this goal. So that's why I want you today, like through this period of time that you're going to spend with me, to be super productive. That's why I would say that it's not even just like a speech I'm giving or like just a presentation. I would better say that it's kind of workshop that we're going to do today together, like in order to understand how you can basically get to what you want. Can you please go to the next slide? Okay, and yeah, so that's exactly, so if you want, like, you can see a bit more like of the ideas, like in details, on what I have already said, like about myself, like throughout this like 1 year of things that I've just. Can you go to the next one? Okay, so that's actually very interesting information, very interesting statistics here, because it explains what's actually the problem. Because when the young graduates are coming to the age of 23, 24, 25 years old, what is happening with the life is actually what is called quarter-life crisis. And this quarter-life crisis is a very hard moment for everybody, because it's an understanding when you lived already some of your life, so you have a degree, and actually after that you don't understand exactly where you want to go. And what is happening is that, like, youth usually is this part of the society that is really suffering a lot from the unemployment. And it happening not only because of the market rules, but also because of the quarter-life crisis that youth and young people are going through. And that's why actually, like, I decided to show you that little slide, because it really amazingly shows the problems that is happening to young graduates, and why actually they get to this point of unemployment. And so maybe in some of them you can find yourself also, like, and understand what is happening. So it's like lack of skills, no work experience, high competition of the market, because the market is requiring having already like the people with plus 10, plus 5, plus 15 years of work experience. So you come from the university, you have zero work experience, so just like internships. So it's a very high competitive market. So you are going from your university to then uncertainty with major. So this is one of the biggest problems when also like young people don't understand what exactly they want to do, because they are not searching, or they're doing what their parents want to do, or what they are like influenced by, but like exactly they don't understand what their interests are. Little networking is one of the biggest problem ever. So this is something super underestimated, and we're going to speak about that like a bit later again. Uh, because networking is like one of the most important tool in any industry you're going to go through, and people call it with different things, saying like, oh my god, like only people who know other people get a job. But unfortunately, according to the statistics, networking is like one of the first and important tool, like how people actually like get employed. I know communication skills is absolutely connected to networking, because the only way how you can network actually is like through developing your communication skills. And actually, a couple of days ago, we were speaking, we were doing a live stream with the UN worker who is working with United Nations University, and he was telling me that like the best thing that has ever helped him in his life, and the biggest tip that he will give to anybody who is just like starting at their young age and going through this period of time, is definitely networking, and not only with those people who are bigger than them, or like already holding the managing positions, but also like your peers, other interns, your students who are studying with you, because you never know like what kind of position they can have in the future. And that's why it's very important to communicate. Can we please go to the next slide? Yeah, and of course, to understand that, like, you can never be perfect with that, like, because one of the problems is that, like, when we are going through the education system, we think that the life is like divided into the grades, where you can get like the A, or you can get like the worst one, and we think that like, and we like keep thinking in this kind of paradigm that of course never helps you in the employment, like in the job market. So that's why it's okay to stop being perfectionist and understand that there are going to be a lot of rejections. And actually, also statistically, this is something that I understood through speaking with. As far as like I think that you understand that my formation is basically like international relations, and speaking with a lot of people who were working with for the UN agencies, I understood that like it was like mainly their career was about like 99% of like rejections they were getting like before getting their contract, and only 1% like of like approval when they were approved and when they got this contract. So that's why it's a really hard game, where Sometimes even it says that like searching for a job actually is also like a full-time job as like getting the first contract. That's why it's very, very important to get rid of this perfectionist paradigm like inside your head when you get through this period of your graduation till like the getting into the market. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. And it's exactly like the very, very scary moment. And I think that like this fear that like young people are having like in this age is like exactly something that make you feel stuck. And I think it's like the first feeling that like young people are getting, and they don't understand where to go. They need help, and unfortunately, universities are constructed in a way that they are giving you education, but they are not preparing you for the job market. Sometimes, like what can really help that you can go to some career services that you can find in universities, but unfortunately, so this is like the thing that you need to go through with yourself. And I was writing a very nice post about this, like you can screen it if you want, like or find it on my page where I was explaining exactly about this period of time that young people are going through from the 20s to their 30s. When you think that life is full of of a lot of opportunities and you don't understand what to choose, what is also called the choice paradox, when you have a feeling that there are too many things you can choose, too many things, and you are a perfectionist, so you want to choose the best thing, but there are too many, so you don't focus on a specific thing, and finally it leads you to not getting anything absolutely. So that's why what is very important is actually, yeah, it was a very right choice, like to go to the next slide because uh, that was my idea. So you can go to the next one where it was set action. Action. So action is the um, only thing that can help young people in this period of time when they think that there are too many opportunities. And actually, the action that I want to speak about today that really helped me a lot is like career strategy, where you can get where you elaborate a strategy in order to understand what exactly you can get. Can we go to the next one, please? Okay. So this is like what I'm going to speak about is actually not a very new thing and not a very new concept, but it's in some universities like career services. So when they are working with their students, they are helping them and help them to elaborate this kind of strategy in order to understand um, to not to understand, but better to say to help like young people at their age to understand how to achieve exactly like what they want and and to go through this like not very easy period of time um, through constructing a strategy. So basically there are different ways of constructing this kind of strategy, but like what I personally like and is the one that I'm going to present you today, it consists of four different things: self-exploration, market research, focus, and planning. So we're gonna try to go with you like now through these different stages, and I'm gonna explain exactly how to work with every stage. That's why like you can make like little notes if you want. Like, and then I hope that like at the end of this talk, so you will get your first strategy out of that. Can we go to the next one, please? Okay. So let's start with self-exploration as the first stage of strategies that you need to do in order to understand um, how to make like the whole document. Uh, that's actually a very interesting thing to do as an exercise because you are actually trying to understand who you are actually and what kind of skills you are having, what are your strengths, and what are the values you are having, um, and what are your interests. I know that like these kind of questions are super, super hard, but they are very, very important because when you're applying for any vacancy, at least like I'm referring now like to international relations, of course, your skills and competences are the most important thing that you can I'm sorry, we lost the presentation, I think, like for a second. So, okay, so I'm gonna speak anyway, like I hope that we're gonna figure it out, yeah, like with the presentation, because I stopped seeing that, unfortunately. So understanding what you have and what you can is very important process in this like whole like strategy thing. Um, okay, so okay, great. We got back. Thank you very much. Um, so these like 4 questions that you see like on the right side of that slide are really super important ones in order to because you have to start with yourself and analyze yourself. And I know it's a very hard thing to do because we are not super critical about ourselves, or we are too much because we criticize ourselves. We think that we cannot do anything. And what can really help you is actually just Googling like different skills and competences online and understand what are possible and and what you already have. So, for example, let me give you an example. My strength is, I think, is public speaking. My skills are and competences. I have social media skills. I have communication skills. My interests are media and journalism, and my values are, for example, I don't know, career and like self-development. So this is an example of like self-exploration where I understand like myself and answer this question about myself. Can you please go to the next slide? Yeah. So I know that like it can be really very overwhelming and very hard. That's why like now on the right side you see like different. Because of again like doing something that was imposed to you. So like as a person who was going through a lot of emotional burnouts in my life, I can really tell you that it's really very important better to put your energy into something that you makes you feel happy than like doing something that will make you feel not good. And there are some also questions there and like also on the slide that you can ask yourself that can also like help you a bit like with self-motivation, self-inspiration. So I don't want to like spend so much time on that now because we also have like some other slides and a lot of other information and also questions. That's why I just invite you to make it to do the screenshot of that like page and then like to work with yourself like and maybe to do it like today, tomorrow, and to reflect on that like because it really give you a lot of self reflection according to me. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, and this is like also another way that this a really amazing table that is called career history, where you need to also analyze yourself like and understand, analyze what you were doing before. So here you need to write a company and organization, then you need to write the position you held there, your achievement, the skills used there and life lessons learned. I will also give you an example, like with myself, so that like it maybe will sound a bit more comprehensive for you. Um, so let's say like the last example, for example. So I was doing the project for the parliament of Russia. My position was communication specialist. The achievement I did for them communicate a social media communication strategy for 2021. The skills that I used was my social media skills and my communication skills. And the life lesson that I learned is that that's the hardest, I think. So, but let me also reflect on myself. I think that the life lesson that I learned is that like it's very important to do everything on time, because like in my case we had some problems with the deadlines, where so the people in the managing positions comparing to me were like after that like blaming me for some things because they were not very organized. And you can also see on that slide, like a bit like down, there is like a question, what are the three most significant events in my career and why? That's a very, very cool also question in order to understand like what exactly you like to do. I can also give you an example with myself, for example, so that like, and explain you how it can help. So for example, for me, I think that the I will give you just one example. So for me, one example that really was very significant when me was when I bumped into the broadcasting and my work in broadcasting. Why? Because I really explored myself from another side and understood that um, speaking live was incredibly easy for me, and while I didn't have any broadcast information um, for that. So, and I also understood that something that I really liked a lot, because I woke up like at 4 or 5 in order to go to the studio, like to do the to do the TV shows, and we're also like staying for editing at like 2, 3 a.m. So for me, it was absolutely crazy, like to find something in my life that I can do like all day long and not feeling super tired, like, and it was sleeping like just a couple of hours, then like going to the studio back. And so for me, I find it very significant because it really helped with my self-exploration. So you can also like reflect on you, like what kind of little events that would had like made you reflect on yourself, like, and understand yourself from another part. And we'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, so that was the first pillar of that, like, and the next one is the most important. So here, so you go for the market research. And in the market research, you have like two important things. It's people and organizations. What does it mean? Here you understand. So let's say little parenthesis. So like the first pillar was like self-expression, where I understood what you want, like who you are, and like and what you were doing before. And at that moment, when you understand more or less that, for example, you're interested in journalism or like in international relations, you're interested in peacekeeping. So at that moment, you have to like look focus not on yourself but on the outer world, like and understand what is going on in the market in this exact like field. Let's say that you're interested in peacekeeping, in humanitarian like missions. Yeah. So that exact moment we have to understand what is going on in the industry, what is going on with the companies, what are going on with the people there, so what the market can offer you at that exact moment, like on that kind of field. And as I said before, like two important things here, like for the market research is exactly like people and organizations. People, because as I said before, 65-70% of people get their job through the networking. So, what means it's really very important to start like and working with people in this area if you know that you want to work in that. And here, so you can, of course, ask and say, like, excuse me, like, but how should I do that? Like, if I don't understand, like, who's working there and blah blah blah. And what can help you here is a lot with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is amazing, absolutely amazing social media where you can find people already working in the field who already have a lot of work experience. You can analyze how they were going through in their career where they were working. You can analyze a bit like what kind of NGOs they were involved in before getting into a big organization. So just an example for you. Um, in order to work in the United Nations in Geneva, so you have to, usually people first go through some non-governmental organizations experience working for some NGOs as Amnesty International, Transparency International, and so on, or like some other some other organizations before getting into on the board of that like big organization. So that thing you can only understand through speaking with other people in the industry. And another important thing, why it's so important also like to focus on people in the industry already is that because another thing that is very happening very often with the young people that they get uh, they have a very romantic idea about like some work in some like exact field or like with some like big international organization, and in reality, the reality is absolutely different. The work can be absolutely different, and only like speaking with people and understanding whether their illusion is really real and how the reality is also very important to do this fact checking and understand whether how you have it in your head is in reality. Like a very simple example about myself. So I, like for many years before I wanted to be a diplomat, and as soon as I got into the and I got my first internship in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I was really shocked when I saw like does what it means to be a diplomat, because in the majority of the cases, 90% of the work was not about like having a suit and tie and going to different like negotiations and like and traveling, blah blah blah. So 90% of the work was like paperwork, very bureaucratic thing where you have to write the reports. Oh, can we go back, please? Um, where you do like a lot of paperwork, and it was like absolutely super sad for me to understand that. So I understood that like maybe if before going for working there, I could have spoken with some people in the industry already, like, and with some diplomats a bit more, not having just my romantic idea of like traveling, negotiations, blah, blah, blah. So maybe I could have made like a bit be more strategic with my choice, like then like putting a lot of effort into getting into the field yeah, without understanding how it works. Can you please go to the slide before, because like that one is yeah, thank you. So, and as I said, like people and another thing is organizations here. So you, it's very important to understand like who are like the key players in the industry you want to like be in. So if like also again like stupid example, so if we like focus again like in my formation in international relations, of course we understand that the key figure here is the United Nations, all the United Nations agencies, all the NGOs, again, the ones that I was talking to you about, who they are, like Transparency, Amnesty, Oxfam, and so on and so on. Also like Rotary International, by the way, like also like it's one of the key figures like here. So it's also very important like to do your own, conduct your own research and understand who are the key players here, like just to understand who are the potential organizations in this field, how you can construct like your career like with them. And I already was. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, I was already saying before like about networking that like actually I think it's like when I speak very often like when I speak with the professionals like who are like in the field for many years. I think that this is the first thing that everybody's telling me, that it's super important like to learn to network, so to write to people, to try to get into contact with them, like, and to not in only to get tip, but also like because it's very important to know about the people in the field, because like in the future, if you apply or like you change um, your position in the field, so it's very like important that like everybody knows you in that. And in the pandemic time, like where like even like the internships now like are usually remote. Again, like I'm referring to the United Nations. So one of the like I think like the most significant tool that you can use now is definitely LinkedIn, because there you can see people that already work in the field, like who work for these organizations that you found, what they did, and you can write to them, like ask them for their advice and so on. So now giving an example of international relations, my friend who is working for JP Morgan now, who got like this position after her graduation, she was, I think that shaking me for like when we were doing the master's degree like in America. So she was shaking me for 1 year saying like, Victoria, you don't use LinkedIn, so you have to use it a lot. And she was using LinkedIn a lot, like before getting this position in JP Morgan. So she was for 1 year, she was speaking a lot with people already in the field there, like having their positions there, and it really helped her a lot. Like when she was going through the selection process, because the selection process there is lasts about 1 year. It definitely helped her a lot. And also from my experience, so when I was in the human resources of UNESCO, uh, so UNESCO is also like using LinkedIn a lot for like looking at the candidates and using it as like important professional network for like recruiting new people and looking at potential employees. So here you also can screen if you want. Like this is the page that you see here. Like it's I took it from LinkedIn. Like they have some guides on how to not work there, so you can also use it or make a screenshot and read it like after, so that we are not losing so much time on that now. Can we go next? Okay, so now, like again about organizations, I already mentioned it before, but like in order to be a bit like more strategic, maybe I would also give you another tip, is that there are a lot of organizations. There are thousands. Even like if you speak about international relations, for example, there are thousands. Like of course, like the world doesn't finish with the United Nations only. It's definitely like bigger than that, because it's also very important to understand what kind of requirements you are having for that. And so when you are looking at the organizations, I would also like list at least 3 requirements that you are having for them. For example, salary, city, and I don't know, values. Yeah, so you understand that you can want to like accept organizations that can like offer you more than 70K per year, for example, city also only like in Vienna, for example, yeah. And like values, it's very important for you that it's a sustainable organization that is like supporting global goals. So it can really help you a lot because like after that, when you have your list of organizations that you understood are already working in the field, then you match it with your own requirements, and it definitely helps you a lot like to figure out which ones are the ones that you need and you have to focus on. Okay, so can we go next, please? Yeah. So and it's, as you really maybe understood, so these like first pillars, these 2 first pillars that we were doing is about like taking your real you and your like so dream job, for example, yeah, and understanding what you want to get and to get like the middle ground. Because the real you is like with your skills, with like this like your ambitions, like your like interests, and like is so the potential vacancy will ask you for like specific skills and so on. So and the idea here is that like we need to find the middle ground and understand where exactly it matches. So this is what we're gonna do with the next step. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. So let's say that like we want to like conduct this analysis and like and to focus on the United Nations. So the first thing that is very important to do, what not so many people know, and what we were we were really like promoting a lot, like while during my work with UNESCO, is that like almost every big organization has a careers website. It's like a specific point on the website that you can find where they write everything, like almost everything on how to work there, what are the conditions, what are the requirements, what are the job openings, what are the staff categories, what you can get out of here, what to do if you're a young professional, and so on. So, and UN is one of the greatest example actually of that, like because this is I can see on the screen, what you can see on the screen is their like a website. If you can see, like if you just Google UN careers, you can exactly get into that page. Like it's so easy, like it's incredibly easy, and you can spend one day just reading the whole page, like and learning everything about that. So can you go to the next slide, please? And this is like another example. So I went through that section of the website, and I went to the job openings. And this is like the standard page of UN careers job opening that you can see, where it's written the title, the